of the Fair Oaks Recreation Park District to order. This is our 1,427th Board of Directors meetings, and I think I only missed 3. Before we get started, if you got your cell phones, turn the sound off. And we'll be good. Who wants to do the Pledge of Allegiance?
Darren.
Darren, you picked me, so I'll pick you to lead the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Jennifer, would you do the roll call, please?
Yes, Chair Carhart.
Here.
Vice Chair Manning. Here. Director Irwin.
Here.
Director O'Farrell.
Here.
Director Knopf.
Here.
All present.
Very, very good. Okay, item 4 is a presentation. Who's going to do that? That's 2003 Recreation Program Update. I guess it's not a presentation.
It is. Just presentation.
Good evening, Board of Directors. Nick Davison, Recreation Manager. The Recreation Department comes to you twice a year with an update on the department. Since we just wrapped up 2023, we're going to give you a little recap of the department, what we did this year. So we'll present here as a team. I'm going to start off with some financials, and then we'll get into the more fun, exciting stuff as we progress here. So the first slide here is revenue per activity, guys. So we have 2021 there in the light green, the medium color green is 2022, and the dark is 2023. So you can see over the years, each activity guide period, we have increased our revenue, albeit 2021 was probably not the best year to measure because we were still coming out of the pandemic and we had quite a few restrictions on programs. But 2022 was a good measurement for us. So we are definitely seeing some increases in our revenue. So that's definitely a positive, and it's kudos to the recreation team for all their hard work there. And then this is a percent of our fiscal year revenue for 23-24. So we are 6 months into our fiscal year, so covering July 1 through December 31st. We are kind of a little above where we projected at this point in time. So I anticipate us meeting our projected revenue goal and or exceeding that. And then one of our goals as a department is to increase, or I should say decrease, our class cancellations. So of the classes that we offer, we want to increase the number that is held because we absolutely dislike canceling classes that we offer to the community. So between 2022 and 2023, we did see a 6% increase in classes held, albeit not a huge percentage. It is a growth, it's an improvement, and we do hope that we increase that even more over to the year 2024. I believe we will. So and a lot of that's due to our increased marketing efforts. So both those revenues and the classes held, I think it's a lot to do with our marketing. And Mary and staff done a great job over the years. And we do have ACE, which I'm going to transition to right now, which is our new marketing coordinator, to talk about some marketing things.
Nick, do you have a percentage of how many of our total classes have to be canceled, roughly?
That we probably had about roughly 40% that were canceled. But that number is a little bit skewed. The reason being that would be skewed is we have some classes or some partnerships that offer a large amount of classes with us that if it did get canceled, it doesn't affect our facility use, that we don't block out any time for it. It doesn't necessarily mean that we cancel on anybody in particular. It's just nobody actually enrolled for that program. So really, like classes held in our facilities or classes that we canceled on a participant, it's going to be a lot less than that 40%. So I'll transition here to ACE, the marketing. Thank you.
Hey everybody, I'm Ace Delatreus, marketing coordinator. So right here, this bar graph that we have is based off of our activity guide, and the light green is to 2022, and the dark green is 2023. And you can see that our numbers jump a big amount, especially in the summertime. In 2023, I think this year we built our online presence a lot more than the year previous. And planning on kind of building that online presence a lot more beginning this year. And then another update we had is our website. We revamped that and kind of made it more modern and made it a lot easier to navigate around. And just kind of shorten the amount of clicks that people had to go through to get to certain things that they were trying to get to. Our social media, we had 5,000 plus total likes and still going up. Our Instagram gained 500 followers. So we're getting up there. And Loomly, which is our link tracker, that had a lot of clicks this year with 4,790 clicks. And that's pretty much our marketing stuff for social media and and other marketing material. And for this year, I'm planning on kind of improving like our photo library and video library for future marketing material, and building our online presence and using a lot more video and more engaging content to build this up in the social media algorithm. Cool. Pass it on to you.
I know, can I say something? I noticed in the little Fair Oaks magazine that goes around, a lot of the things they say about what's going on in Fair Oaks come from our programs. Also the same on the website where you call up to find out what's going on in Fair Oaks. I don't know how much effort we put into that, but they seem to be using our stuff quite a bit.
Yeah, working out good. And this year also, I forgot to say, we are also going with the a physical print for the activity guide. So that'll be cool, and everybody's getting that in the mail.
Yeah, it looks really nice.
Yep.
Cool. So special events, we already talked about Chicken Festival, which you guys know is our largest event at the last couple meetings. But overall, we had 30 plus events over 2023 with 24,000 plus event attendees. So a large, substantial, about 10,000 is from Chicken Festival, but 14,000 spread throughout the rest, I think is pretty darn good for our little town. And then new things that we did last year, Garden Dinner for the Arts was brand new, super successful, sold out. Rocky's Halloween Week was brand new, and the whole point of that event was try to get to our pocket parks or very small parks and get into the neighborhoods. Very well received. Rocky even dressed up as a vampire. He had his own Halloween costume. It was really cute. And then we added on Trunk or Treat at a Food Truck Mania event. And we were blown away. We had over 1,000 kids, actually over 1,000 participants attend. We were not expecting that. So we're planning for a very large event next year, and looking forward to, or for this year, looking forward to have that happen. We brought back vernal pools tour last year. Those things were very, very successful. We're not able to do them this year because Stack Splash is cutting back on their partnerships and their revenue and
Just
expenses.
their budget has been cut a little bit, so they have to be a little more cautious with it.
Yeah. So sad to not have that back, but we were able to at least do it this last year. We had a new 30-foot holiday tree, and the ADA trekking we used for a couple of the events, and that was a huge, just increase in our ADA compliance and helping people out, even with those with strollers and stuff. So people really seem to like that stuff. So that's pretty much events. We're looking forward to some new
We
stuff.
get a percentage or some fee for the Food Truck Mania at all?
We have an agreement with them for the year, and they give in other ways. So we don't get a percentage for Food Truck Mania, but for instance, they sponsor like our key hunt. They give us money back for Easter. They're going to be providing candy for the trunk or treat this year. So it kind of works out in other ways.
Okay, thanks.
Yep.
Do you track, Sabrina, so like the smaller events like the Halloween Week and Trunk or Treat in terms of like cost versus expenses, or how?
Yep.
I know for Chicken Festival, it's really detailed. Do you do that for the smaller events
Yeah,
as well?
for every single event. Yep. Yep.
Thank you.
And just to expand upon that real quick, if we do that for all programs, regardless of what they are. So you know, there's 2 people in class that don't have a detailed expenditure.
Hello, Board of Directors. My name is Mary Stokely. I am a recreation supervisor, and you'll see the programs I oversee just here shortly. Some highlights for our youth camp programs that we hold throughout the year. Some statistics: we had a total of 18 weeks of camp last year. That's including our regulars Camp Fair Oaks at McMillan Center, as well as our Tiny Turtles preschool age camp at our Fair Oaks preschool. We had over 200 campers participate in the programs over the year, as well as in total, all of those campers spent over 14,000 hours at camp, which is really wonderful. Some of the new things that we had were that we did 4 weeks of our Tiny Turtles camp. That was a program that we did have in 2020. We kind of tried it out during COVID when there were a lot of restrictions and people were in need of programs for their children, but we brought it back in a more full force way, and so that was proved to be really successful. We had a lot of new families, as well as families who had children in their regular camp program who weren't old enough yet, and so they were able to get them into a camp experience as well. Some of the highlights from this year were that we returned to the McMillan Center. We were at Northridge Elementary the summer prior, and while that was a wonderful partnership, we ended up deciding to move back to McMillan. And then we also had a return of our field trips, which was a huge draw for a lot of families. It's definitely one of the highlights of the week for all of the kids to get a variety of different field trip experiences. And then with the move back to McMillan Center and, you know, getting further and further away from 2020, we had a lot less program restrictions in terms of sizes, general restrictions that existed earlier in the previous years. Next, we have our Fair Oaks preschool program. So over this past most recent school year, we currently have 41 students enrolled. That number is up from the year prior. Again, COVID plays a little bit of a role in that, but it's nice to see those numbers go up. New this year in terms of our preschool age programming is that we expanded our Little Chicks Playdate program, which is a weekend socializing class for parents and children ages 1.5 to 5 to attend. It's semi-monthly throughout the school year, and it's just a great chance for people to come and socialize while not being in a ongoing program. And then I included in here that we did get a new preschool director, which is myself. So, you know, it's a new thing for us, and I've got gotten a lot of learning experiences already so far, and I'm really enjoying getting to be a part of the program. Some highlights for preschool was the return of our pre-COVID class format. So we had been running sequential days in order to make sure that sanitizing, all of that was happening, but we brought back the Monday, Wednesday, Friday AM afternoon class, and then the Tuesday, Thursday class. And then another highlight was this past year, we had a record-breaking $4,700 raised at our Tricathon event between the 3 classes, which was really wonderful. We were able to get some really great new outdoor equipment for the kids, and the parents really went above and beyond this year.
Do we still have waiting lists to get in?
We have a couple of spaces available in our afternoon class, as well as our Tuesday, Thursday class. Our Monday, Wednesday, Friday morning class is always full, always has a wait list. But yeah, that's where we're at. The Fair Oaks Youth Advisory Board, or FOIAB, I know you hear about them monthly, but just a quick update. We had 20 students in our 2022-2023 term. This year we have 16 students. One of our bigger efforts that's going to be happening as we go into 2024 is, as we have a lot of graduating seniors, is to encourage those students who are currently in FOIAB, who are growing up into it, to really push for their friends to come and join in and highlight the pluses of being a part of FOIAB. Some of the new things that we did this year, new kind of / returning things that we decided to have as more of a recurring items were our hygiene bags. The students purchased a bunch of hygiene supplies, put them together during December, and then we donate them to the Orangeville Fair Oaks Food Bank. And then we also did the Chicken Festival water bottle fundraiser. So we sold cold water bottles at the Chicken Festival. They did very well this year and got donations for that. So that just all goes back to them being able to do more for the community. And then in terms of highlights, they earned additional $200 in that water bottle fundraiser compared to last year. And we are currently in the planning stages for an all-new event in 2024. That'll be our Family Field Day happening in April. I think that's it for me.
Hello, my name is David King. I'm a recreation supervisor. So with our sports side, we have essentially two leagues that we run in-house. That's our youth flag football league, which is through the NFL flag football. And then we also have adult softball teams, which we host at the Fair Oaks Park. With our flag football, we had 144 players, which is about a 10% increase from last year. We also had 26 men's teams for softball, which play on Tuesdays, and 27 co-ed teams, which play on Wednesdays. Overall, that's about a 14 increase. That's across the whole of 2023. New for this 2023 is our partnership with American River Girls Softball. Is they've been able to use La Vista, the fields at La Vista in the past, but now they've been able to use La Vista as the site for their games, since we've been able to further add to our maintenance in their area as well as our spending at those fields. Also, another highlight in the sports area is our Mississippi Bar Trail Run was able to surpass 200 runners for the first time, which also marked a 12% increase from the year prior.
Davey, I have a question about the trail run.
Mm-hmm.
Is that something where you have like reached out to wild runners in the village at all to maybe coordinate with them as a partner on that, or is that, I don't know how we include that.
Yeah, so in 2023, we worked with Fleet Feet and primarily the Folsom location. And then we had expressed that to them, and then they did express some interest, but Wild Runners did, but it was a little bit later. But we are wanting to work with them for this year. And so that's communications that and conversations that we have with them this month and next month as well to get some environment, because we have seen them host some very successful and fun events in the village. So we definitely love to have them be involved.
Excuse me, I have a question about flag football. Is it co-ed?
It is, yes.
It is, okay, because I was gonna say, if we have a boys and men's, I think we need to have girls and women's.
Yeah, it's all co-ed. There's about a handful of females, but it's definitely something that we would love to see that increase. And we're also seeing at a higher level, we don't do high school, but there are in high school in the area where we're seeing a growing number of women's flag football leagues. And so we'd love to be able to, while we are younger than that, be able to help that grow for our age groups as well.
Great, thanks.
What's the status of our agreement with San Juan School District on La Vista? Have we executed a new one, or is that still pending?
You have executed, it's a 50-year,
So we're good to go then? Yeah, good. Excellent.
And they'll be out there again this year as well, of course. On the rental side of things, so we get a lot of picnic and barbecue rentals. We had over 200 in 2023 alone. Our minimum rental for that is about 3 hours. So most of those are anywhere from 3 to 5 hours long, which is a good amount. And then we had about 70 individual athletic field rentals. And now with that one, that's an underestimate, because a lot of those rentals are those individual contracts. So a lot of those rentals are more for something that could last a few months long and like that. So the amount of times that people are actually on the field is a lot more than that. And that's a good source of revenue for us. New for 2023 is we were able to open up the McMillan Center a good amount more as a rental. Common for that is we saw, baby showers as well as celebration of life was very common as a rental for that. And then a highlight was from all our rentals, from a lot athletic fields, McMillan, and our barbecue areas, we were able to get just over 77,000.
I have another question, either for you, JD, or for Nick. On the athletic field rentals, are those fees part of the annual cost analysis that is done? Where you go through, I know that the building rentals are on that list, but Are the athletic fields
They
on
are on
there
that
as
list
well?
as well.
And so are they, so is it just that staff evaluates them on a yearly basis, or how do our athletic field fees, I guess, compare to other districts? How
Yeah,
often-
so there's actual youth sports group in the Parks and Recreation world where we meet probably quarterly, and we discuss this type of thing and share each other's fee structures. So we're right on par with our immediate area and probably even below the greater Sacramento area as far as our fees. So that's kind of what we compare them to. And also we develop our fees based on the cost recovery model too. So.
Hey, Nick, I have a question too about the Millen Center, or maybe Mike. I don't remember ever having a discussion about making it more presentable and upgrading it. My wife ran a preschool out of the Millen Center for 10 years, and I remember what it was. And I'm sure if you've been around here long enough, you recognize that this is not what it was. So, looks great. And can you just give me a little bit more about when it happened, what happened, and what the upgrades have been?
As far as upgrades, there hasn't been a significant amount of upgrades. Sean probably better talk about it if he was here. I don't know if he is online. But there's been some, yeah, it's very minimal things. They're just kind of more cosmetic things than anything, and trying to keep it operational.
Well, it looks good. At least from
I think it could look better, my personal opinion, but it's a good facility for the forces.
Well, I'm glad to see it's still, being put to good use.
Making some money.
Yeah, right, exactly.
That's all I have.
Thank you.
Any questions you allowed?
Got it.
Excellent.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
That wraps up the recreation program update for 2023. Next is audience and public comment on items that are not on the agenda, and anyone's entitled to address the board on any subject within our jurisdiction. And the speakers are limited to a maximum 3 minutes, which is discretionary on my part. And any matter requiring board action will be referred to staff for future future action, future meeting. Let me ask, is there anybody on?
That's what I was just gonna say. If there's anybody on Zoom that wants to make a comment, please either raise your hand or in the chat. Sorry, just let us know that you're trying to make a comment. And if you are on the phone, to raise your hand, it is *9.
Thanks, Ian. If anybody'd like to speak, step up to the podium, give us your name and your organization, and go for it.
My name is Leon Corcos. I'm a resident, property owner, business owner, member of FOVAC, former member of CPAC. I want to talk on 2 things quickly. This is a report that was done by Rich Desmond's office. I don't know if anybody's seen this. We've been talking about parking, and he put this together. I recommend that you ignore it. It was 3 months late, first of all. There's so many mistakes in it. For example, they're calling for the development of a Citizens Planning Advisory Committee, CPAC, which has been around for 20 years already. So I don't think that that's really a smart recommendation. We talked about an overwhelming support for diagonal parking, but they don't talk anything about it as a suggestion to look into. I thought it was unusual. They also, in their action items here and recommendations, say, correct me if they're wrong, probably they are, Park District currently has a project in construction that reduces the number of parking spaces and increases the demand. I'm under the impression that you were increasing the amount of parking spaces. They're saying that upon completion, you'll have 86 parking spaces for customers. I hear it's running 120. So then their evaluation talks about, they recommend that you wait until the completion of the park to do any parking or traffic evaluations. I'm like to recommend that you give staff or whomever needs the authority to continue looking forward on parking and traffic solutions rather than take the recommendation for waiting till the park is done. I think that's kind of foolish when we're losing a lot of time. And there's a lot to be done still, and parking is critical, possible meters is critical. So I'm hoping that you guys give Director Aho the power to go forward looking into those items. Secondly, this is just came up, looking at their presentation. I would really like to see the Chicken Festival come back to the village. I went to it this year out at the Fairbanks Park. It was so big and it was so diluted that it could have been called the Tortoise Festival and no one would know the difference. There was no focus on chickens. You had everything from guys from cannabis shops selling to, you know, face painting. So I think you've lost the Chicken Festival vibe by having it out. Granted, you probably make more money because you get X amount more tables and.
All right,
Okay.
That's your 3 minutes. Thank you very
Thank
much.
you, Leon.
Waiting for Ralph to come.
Go ahead.
Thank you, board, for letting me speak. I'm Nan Danford, I'm the president of FOVIC, and I am here regarding the parking study as well. Looking at it, you know, on September 11th, they had us come in and they had a lot of community members, and they came up with what were the problems or issues facing the village. Parking, of course, emerged as number one. And after 3 months, like Leon said, they originally said we would have the study at the end of September, but we got it last week. So it was delayed. And they recommend pretty much doing nothing until you guys are done with the construction. We think that is a really bad idea. And so we have a couple of things that we would like to ask for, speaking on behalf of FOVIC in particular. One is, number one, that the Park District does not wait, that you guys continue down the path to move forward and find the solutions and investigate what would be the best options and move forward with those on all levels. Do not wait. The second is that you encourage the county to not wait as well. We've asked them to survey Fairbanks Boulevard because there is some confusion of who owns those parking spaces, and that really will predetermine how we can go about finding solutions for that street on what the ownership is. That can't wait. We need to get that going now. So we would like to ask the Park District to help us by composing a letter to the county, Desmond's office, suggesting and encouraging them to not wait. In addition to that, FOVIC is going, of course, to be submitting a letter to the office as well, and we would like the support of the community associations, the Park District being a primary one as well. So we'd like to get the Rotary, the Chamber, and the Park District, and perhaps the Water District to join us in supporting this. And so we would like to ask for your support as well. And we would like to recommend or ask that you guys have the draft letter that you're making to the county available for review at your February board meeting so that we can get it submitted in time.
Thank you.
Does the report state why they would like it to wait until?
They're saying they're not going to actually know what the traffic's going to be because there's going to be more traffic once you guys are done, but we already have a crisis, so it's not going to get any better. And if we wait, it's going to be chaos. It's going to be utter chaos, and there's going to be so many angry, upset visitors, and it's going to hurt the businesses. And, you know, we're all about supporting the community and trying to make this place a better place where more people can come and visit, and making it worse by doing that is not in the best interest of our community. And I was flabbergasted when I read the report, actually.
We had multiple discussions on this parking with, you know, looking at different options for meters. I didn't understand. I didn't think we were waiting.
No, we're not, but it is a recommendation from the county that this not be done. And, you know, I think if I'm
Well, rather-
understanding OVEC correctly, they're saying we should continue as we're
Yes.
doing, and we should probably write a letter to the county saying, we're gonna continue to do what we're doing.
Yes, we don't want you to take their recommendation and stop. We want you to continue.
It doesn't, I mean, Desmond's very amenable to.
However you all wanna do it.
Rather than draft a letter, we can draft a letter too, but I get a lot more done face to face with Desmond. And, you know, the county's been great working with John and I at Sailor Bar. I mean, not that that's even our jurisdiction, but they've been awesome, so.
Well, and we appreciate that and think that's awesome, and you should continue with that, and we're glad you're doing that. But I would also like to see something in writing.
Well, that's right.
Will your letter be addressed to the board or to Rich Desmond? Or the county transportation?
I think whoever brought this up is, I think, who we would do it to, and it's gonna be to Desmond and DOT, because those are the people that are involved in.
I think Rich is the one that set this up. because
Correct,
He knew
he
there was a problem. How many of us went to the meeting? Or participated in that? You did?
I
too?
was there.
I
Yeah,
was there too.
and I would venture to guess that Rich doesn't even know this report.
Oh, yeah, I did.
Yes.
I shepherded him every 2 weeks, asking.
Well, I was very disappointed myself in the report too, and one of the things I repeatedly said is we need a grant for some parking structure or facility, and that wasn't even mentioned at all, so.
Well, and actually, Ralph, that's another thing that FOBIC is going to do. We're gonna be making a budget request of the county, and that will be one component. We're gonna bring that to you guys as well, but we're gonna do that next month because we don't have all the details of how much we're gonna ask for what, but for which items, but that's definitely something we agree completely with you on, and we're gonna be asking for as well.
And Dan, what's the status of the yard?
So the yard, we're doing behind the scenes things to see, the water district doesn't want to entertain anything till they have a suitable place. And so we're looking for other places and also looking at other strategies to encourage them.
Good.
To do that. Yeah.
Well, I can't speak for the whole board, but I personally know the parking issue has been something that's been kicked around for years. We've had previous studies that, nice display boards, but no action. So I think, I know from what Rich has said, he doesn't have a lot of traction with the other four supervisors because they've got a lot of lobbying people in their cities, we don't. And, we can't even get our potholes filled on a timely basis. So I think he needs the ammunition from us. And this is exactly what he's been asking, is to have us go down to the board or write letters and be more active, because you can be sure that Rancho Cordova and Citrus Heights and Folsom and all of those, they make their needs known, and, they get more action. So I guess we've talked about this. How does the board feel about having the staff compose a draft letter for our review of
100% approved, yeah.
I think that's fine. What,
So we'll agendize it then for the February meeting.
but I just, obvious, so what are we doing, what are we continuing to do on our parking? Or that is part of our plan that may or may not be in opposition to what the report is suggesting?
The big difference that you have right now is the fact that we are aware that there is going to be a problem, and that we are working toward some kind of lessening of the impact before we open. We don't know what that is yet, though. I can't answer that. Is it? I don't
Well,
know.
when you say we're working, so what does that mean?
It means it means it's on my goals, as you've already heard that before, and that some kind of solution is going to have to be, or some kind of lessening of the impact. I don't want to say solution. Some kind of lessening of the impact will need to be done prior, hopefully, to us open. What that looks like, it could be a paid parking, it could be a monitored parking, it could be an enforcement of a restricted parking, like a 2-hour parking. I don't know. But there's a lot of elements around that we'd have to go out to community outreach as well. And we can only do that for our properties. We can't do it for the rest of the village.
Right.
So we can only do it for our properties. And that's what, we would be focusing on, is those spots. that'll also impact the overall village, so it's still intertwined. We'll still have to deal with everybody. But we can independently make some kind of recommendation, or you will make some kind of recommendation that we do something, whether it be restricted parking, whether it be controlled parking, whether it be whatever. So
Haven't you been putting some effort into looking at the AT&T parking lot?
we have, and that's, we're working with FOBEC on that. It is something that we could use. The challenge, of course, is money.
And ADA?
Yeah, well, ADA doesn't, it's interesting, ADA doesn't really affect it too much for us, because we have ADA parking in the village. So our facility has better ADA parking than any ADA parking that we created over at the AT&T lot. So it really wouldn't matter to us about ADA over at that AT&T lot.
What is
Well, that's
the
a lot of
barrier?
initials. But, so anyway,
The upgrades.
Yeah,
the upgrades.
and
What, sorry, what upgrades would we?
For our ADA,
No, in the, well, for the AT&T lot to make that
What
as
do
a
we
parking.
to make it for ADA?
Is that the issue?
No, to make it usable.
Oh, to make it usable? I'd have to.
So AT&T has required us to put in temporary fencing to prevent people from accessing the building, because there's a stairway down there, and there's also an open space to Sunrise. So we've actually installed the temporary fencing. The other thing is the gate is not functional. So we've gotten a estimate to repair the gate, but we need to get, and we've actually just received authority or authorization from them to have the gate repaired. However, they have not given us the lease that we want yet, and we're not going to pay to have that gate repaired until we have a lease in place that makes sense. So once we get those things done, we can start using it, and our idea to use it is some sort of app-based thing where you have your own code to get in, and we're primarily thinking during the working days and weekdays to have it be employee parking, and hopefully we'll get some buy-in from the village merchants. That'll free up considerable parking here, and then of course use it for evenings and special events for visitors.
So where are we in assisting FOVIC with that?
I'm on their parking subcommittee. And so we're in dialogue with them on a regular basis, recognizing that we're going to be one of the more impactful users of parking in the village.
It'll be very useful to us for events in
Yes.
the community as well as for the, but you're the ones that are developing the agreement. We're not a part of that agreement at this point.
Other than being on the committee.
Yeah.
What about the parking that's behind the Withrow building? You know, that big complex right down at the end of the road?
So that is owned by the condo offices there, and there could be an opportunity to have an agreement with them. My guess is it would not be free of charge, but who knows? And that's one obstacle that we have as FOVIC, because we don't have any money. We're cost $24 a year to be a member. So
They have a pretty bad problem with homeless people camping out there.
they do
And
actually.
more cars that you got in
Yep.
there would probably help to alleviate that problem.
Yep.
At least that's my opinion.
We're also.
Leon?
So I looked into that, because I heard a rumor that in 1977, when they built that, part of their development permit was X amount of spaces back there were designated for the public. Okay, I've requested research, many levels of research from the county to give me they can't even find the development permit. So if we could find it somehow, there might be 20 spaces that are already sanctioned for the public.
Yeah, I don't know if you're aware, but it's been about 20 years ago when we shut down the parking from Temescal all the way down to the bridge because of car break-ins, mostly car break-ins. And I think one of the sheriff's deputies actually shot a guy that tried to run him down there. But it was kind of problematic. But I don't know if there's possibility to have the county look into opening up a few more spaces. I mean, Temescal to the bridge would add something if the residents didn't mind.
Well, the problem is that the street is so narrow.
It is.
Yeah.
It's that
Once you got one side blocked
Right.
off, you're gonna have people backing out,
Yeah.
and that doesn't work.
It used to be, people made use of some of that on their big events and everything. And then I guess on down to the bridge.
Scandinavia is closing down, so there's a large lot across Sunrise as well.
And they've always been really good about letting us use it, so,
Yeah.
yeah, we're doing some research there. Turns out, the business, Scandinavian Designs owns the building, but leases the land, so.
Well, very good. I think Mike has been very proactive on this. I think we're gonna continue to look at this from our point of view because we have the same situation. And I, for one, agree that we're not gonna learn anything new by waiting for what we do. We know exactly how many parking spaces, we know where they're at, and we know that when we start having our events there, that it's going to put an additional demand on the overall parking. Now, part of that's going to be coordination of schedules and timing and all of that.
But even if it doesn't impact it very much, it's still a critical issue. It
So
needs to be dealt with, like,
Yeah,
we don't need to wait.
I'm hoping that we will have our own similar position on why to move forward, not just wait.
Okay.
So Mike, for us, I mean, it kind of sounds like we haven't done too much yet on our end to kind of make decisions.
No,
On at
we've
least.
investigated some options, but we haven't brought anything to you all.
So is this something where it would be beneficial to create a ad hoc committee or something? I feel like we're kind of at that point.
Yes, and that is exactly right. I believe we should have an ad hoc from the board. I'll be happy to bring that a little more structured in February to you to see if we can do that. And I think in that ad hoc as well, some of the staff and potentially one member of FOVAC and things like that, that can help us make these determinations and do the outreach necessary to do the right thing.
Because I think we need a working committee to really work with this and then to bring it back to the board so we can have a really unified approach of what we're doing forward, both with our specific jurisdiction and our recommendation, a strong recommendation for the county.
So come back in February and see what we have on the table. Are there-
That was part of the whole thing we were looking at with the master plan, right?
Yes.
And the PBIT potential
Yes.
to get this done, because obviously a lot of this is not our jurisdiction anyway.
Right.
But it's all part of the problem.
Yeah.
So, okay.
I'll volunteer.
Any
so-
board comments on this particular?
Well, and just the last thing, I just want to remind you, one of the things we're asking for is your support and signature on our letter as well, so don't forget that portion of it.
I don't think we can do that necessarily. I'm sorry.
But you can put a letter, you are asking me to put a letter together from the board saying we are continuing to move forward.
I think
I don't think we need
we want our own letter at this point and our own action on the ad hoc committee or
And that's
anything
gonna
else you
come
wish
through
to
ad hoc.
propose to us.
Okay.
And you're also doing a letter to the county, right?
Definitely. Well, that's what we're.
We'll figure that out through our ad hoc.
One more.
Yeah, just one, if John's gonna start that. I've connected us, parking committee, with Matt Ironman. I don't know if anybody knows Matt Ironman. But Matt Ironman is now the head of public works for the city, but for 20 years, he was in charge of parking. He was in charge of parking when Golden One went in and all that. And he will come down and he will work with us and he will come talk to you, John, and your group. I don't think there's anybody around knows more about parking and solutions than Matt. So I'll give you his information.
Sure. Okay, if there's no more board questions, Keith, do you have something to say here?
If I may.
Go ahead.
Keith Walter, resident, business owner, until recently a property owner. Member of several volunteer groups within the community. I'd like to start by just acknowledging the parking work that both the Park District and FOVAC and others have been doing. I know that it's not appropriate for the letter that you'll submit, but if you have informal meetings with Rich, I would hope that you would express at least my disappointment in the report that was produced. It's factually incorrect, its conclusions are absurd, and it involved a lot of people for a very questionable result. And I would hate for him to go off and make decisions based on what that report says. The two topics that I really wanted to talk with you tonight about is I'm quite active in the community and particularly in the village. And I've had a number of business owners express concerns about particularly the paving that will take place as a result of the construction. And right now, they simply don't have enough information to be comfortable that they're not going to go out of business. The park construction is taking place much longer than any of us would like it to take place. The thought that the road construction could also take much longer than anyone wants it to take place, and large sections could be closed for long periods of time, scare the living daylights out of several of the business owners. And so I would ask the park district to figure out what is your mitigation plan, what is your plan to not further impact businesses any more than you absolutely have to in order for them to be able to survive the construction that's taking place. The last point, and I think it's actually an agenda item later, and so if appropriate, I'll defer, is I also happen to be a member of FOFLA, and FOFLA has been in discussions with the Park District on potentially integrating our two foundations. And I just want to, whenever it's appropriate, speak on behalf of moving that forward as quickly as possible.
Yeah, that'll come up pretty quick.
Okay.
Thank you. Consent. Thanks, Keith. Mike, did you want to add any, I know we're planning to phase the parking reconstruction, and we've got a lot of issues that are still up in the air about who's going to pay for what, all of that. Anything that?
No, I don't have anything new. We are going to go, I have a meeting early next week with our team to determine how we want to approach the county, because there's going to be additional cost in the paving. And at that point in time, we'll start creating the paving plan, which we'll share with the public and with you, and how that might work. It'll be a draft plan, so there'll still be room for adjustments around that if we need to make any adjustments.
I recall that when we thought we could do it this last year, we were talking about doing segments, like doing Temescal and Maine, and not tearing everything all up at once.
That's still the recommendation at this point, but again, we have to go through with the county on some other issues, including the road grades and the sub bases on the road. There's some huge challenges that were identified during the walkthrough with the county, all under the county's responsibility.
The only thing I can say is that we have the same motivation to do it with the least disruption and whatever mitigation we can figure out. Okay. With that, is there anybody online that wants to speak? No. We're good? Okay, then we'll move on to the approval of our agenda. Anybody care to make a motion?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, next, the consent calendar. Any questions, or do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second. Any further discussion? Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Aye. That brings us to agenda item 8.1, our only big item there, which is the monthly Fair Oaks Youth Advisory Board report.
Good evening, Board of Directors. Once again, Mary Stokely. I am the advisor for FOIA. Unfortunately, our chair Nadia was not able to be here today. But just a couple of quick updates. As we get into the new year, the primary focus for FOIA is going to be our adult and teen egg hunt fundraisers, which will take place at the Easter Extravaganza event in the end of March. And so the teams are working on collecting gift card donations for that particular fundraiser. That's our primary fundraiser that we do throughout the term. Additionally, we are hard at work at planning our brand new event, Family Field Day, as I had mentioned earlier. The details for that event are going to be coming out at the beginning of February in terms of ticket sales. We did an event several years ago for a long time called Mother Son Kickball. And so it's going to be a slightly different version of that, but ultimately we'll just encourage families to participate, get outside and have some fun on a weekend in April. That is all I have.
Any teaser on the Family Field Day, when, where it will be and
what the
events are?
Yeah, it'll be April 6th from 10 a.m. to 12 at Fair Oaks Park.
What was the time again?
10 a.m. to 12.
Fair Oaks Park. Is that gonna be a nice big event where the community is invited to come out?
It'll be a ticketed event, so it will probably be a little bit smaller to start, and we'll kind of gauge interest and see what we can do to revamp and hopefully continue the event moving forward.
Sounds good. Thank you, Mary.
Thank you.
Okay, now, we need a motion to convene the Fair Oaks Recreation Foundation meeting without adjourning our Board of Directors meeting.
So moved. Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All right. This is the approval of updated Fair Oaks Recreation Foundation Board bylaws, FOFLA amended bylaws, right?
Yes, board, this has been, we've been working on this for a couple of years now, and we're finally getting some traction on it. You're familiar with our auditor's recommendation that our board of directors not be the same board of directors of a foundation. And that's been something we've been aware of for the last few years, of trying to find some kind of solution that would make sense for the community and for the park district. One of them was to dissolve the foundation that we have, the Park and Recreation Foundation, and then turn the operational piece of it that we've had as a foundation here over to FOFLA, which has a very similar mission of providing support for arts, entertainment, and recreation for Fair Oaks. And they're supportive of that. We've been in dialogue with them for the last year. They're supportive of that. We have drafted some amendments to the bylaws, ran them by FOFLA. They've been fine with the changes in the proposed changes for the bylaws. And this request here is to ask you permission to send this draft of the bylaws over to the attorneys to get the official bylaws ready to be filed with the secretary or the attorney general, secretary of state, excuse me, secretary of state. So that way the bylaws would be approved by the secretary of state. Then we'd be coming back to you for dissolving the foundation and then transferring the assets, which is allowable, over to FOFLA to then manage and maintain, with some restrictions, of course, probably making certain that those scholarship funds and stuff are put into a restricted account, and that's how they are spent still through FOFLA. And couple of the big changes is that there would be a part of the bylaws would state, the new bylaws would state that there'd be a board member from Fair Oaks Recreation Park District on the foundation board. So we still have a finger in that. We don't have control over it, but you would have a finger in it still. We would suggest to you that staff, we provide a liaison for staff that would attend the meetings, because I believe that a lot of the activities and events will be part of FOFLA. An example of something that could happen, we have that garden dinner you probably participated in last year. That could be a fundraising event that is put on by the foundation, by the new foundation. And we support that as staff. We participate as we had in the past, and then the funds go to something restricted for the arts and entertainment program, whatever that would be determined. So in the past, your board has not, the foundation board here, has not been actively engaged in fundraising. They've been a pass-through, basically. Now we're looking at a foundation that will actively participate in the community and serve the community as a whole. Not just us, but it would serve the entire community.
It's something we've looked at for quite some time.
Yes.
We did not have any direct involvement in the amendment of the FOFLA bylaws, correct?
No, you did not, because they are FOFLA's bylaws, and so it was ran through them.
So they are the ones that made the proposed changes.
We assisted them with that, I guess, as staff.
Yeah. I already had a couple of questions I asked Mike ahead of time. I'm not sure if they, we have one member, the qualifications for the general members, they have a 3-year term, and they're selected for involvement in the community and all. And I just wondered if we needed to carve out how our representative from our board would be selected, if they be subject to the same 3-year term, or we could, have a turnover every year or whatever.
Yeah, and you can, I'm gonna think out the best way of doing this, because I think that's a good point, on this, is you don't want to, you may want to appoint someone new every year, from your board to participate, but my recommendation would be that it would be for the term, the elected term of that individual.
Yeah,
That would be my recommendation, and if that's okay with you, with this foundation board, you all, if that's okay, I will suggest that change, to the attorney and see if we can get that into the bylaws.
might be our community relations, or not ad hoc committee, but our community relations committee or something like that.
Or just long as, you know, the board selects, you as a board select your individual,
Right.
and it would just be for the term of their elected time.
And the other thing, I just wondered why there was just one member, if that's what they put in. I just bouncing off the idea of two members perhaps from our board, but it's not essential. Our member is probably just going to be kind of a liaison and representative between Fourth Park District. And there was a question how their board selects all their members, and I was just wondering if their existing board would be grandfathered in, or how the initial board is going to be selected.
I believe that would be up to the FOFLA group. The change in the bylaws is not a dissolving of their current structure. It's just some changes to the bylaws.
So do
I
we
would
know-
suspect that the members would remain the same.
Do we know who the board members are now?
Somebody does.
So as the president of the Fourth FOFLA board, I'm very familiar with this topic. And as Mike said, this is not about the existing board dissolving. This is about the board adopting new bylaws, and the new bylaws allowing a mandatory one member. But there's no reason that it couldn't be more than one member. Your comment about a one-year term as opposed to a longer term, certainly we're open to that discussion. But as you're well aware, rapid turnover doesn't necessarily make for strong boards. And so we would encourage you to find someone who could serve for a 3-year term. But it's certainly something we would consider if that's a requirement for us to move forward.
Do you have a full board now, and how many members do you have?
Our board, our current bylaws allow us to be anywhere from 5 to 9, and we're currently at 5, so no, we don't have a full board.
And this new thing would allow up to 11, I believe. But there was a reference to 8 plus our member. Just curious, that's all. I don't have any objections. I'm just curious how it came about. Any questions from the board?
Did this go through any committee?
Again, since this is a FOFLA board, at this point in time, that's the only thing it went to. To come to you, this is the first time you have seen this. You're absolutely correct. So
I would want it to go through, I guess, after, I would have liked it to have gone through a committee before this, because I feel like it kind of doesn't make as much sense to have attorneys spend the money, have attorneys do something, then go to a committee, then a recommendation to us.
well, if it's okay, I'm going to adjust this approach if you'd like, where we would convene our committee, our community relations committee, and let you all review that. And we can wait till February to send it to the attorney. There's no rush to get this out the door. So I'm not.
Then I think that would be better.
I'm very open to that. I think that wouldn't be a problem. I believe FOFLA would be fine with that as
We
well.
would be fine with that.
And we know we need to make a change.
Yes, we know we need to change it.
The question is, what kind of change is going to be, and hopefully we can all be okay with it. Sounds like a good plan to me.
So I'll just clarify so I have everything right here. We'll reconvene the community relations subcommittee to look over the bylaws, the proposed bylaws. They'll make any recommendations. We'll bring those back to the board in February, the foundation board, our foundation board in February, and then you would then hopefully authorize us to then send it on to the attorney.
Is it possible to get a copy of the bylaws that show the changes that are, I mean, because this is
Yeah,
like a
the red
clean
line
copy,
changes,
the
but
red
a
line.
red line copy, just to see like what was there before and then what modifications are being made. I think that would be helpful.
We have the original, we have.
Oh, good. Yes, I think that would be really helpful.
I think conceptually, you can gather that we've been wanting to do this for a long time. And, before it's stamped, sealed, and printed out in 1,000 copies, we may have some recommendations
we want to give to you guys.
I think the thoughtful board believes this is good for the community, and we want it to be white, and so we have no objection to taking the time to hear it.
It'll be definitely good for us. We need all the support for our planned events and activities that we can get. And our foundation was not really set up to do that. Okay. Okay, any other comments? With that,
So we're just not gonna. No, I guess.
we don't need a motion, do we? I don't think so. So the only motion we need is to, we don't have any minutes to approve or anything for the foundation, so we just need a motion to adjourn back to the, adjourn the Fair Oaks Road Recreation Foundation meeting and reconvene the Park Board Directors meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, with that, items from the Board of Directors.
Well, Rich, I'll let you carry the Sailor Bar discussion adjustment. But John Marengo is waiting on in the queue, and he contacted me a couple of weeks ago and wants to promote a bike race in the village. So if you go, Leon probably remembers this. Back in the day, the Coors Classic was held downtown in Old Sac on the cobbles. Because of that, there was some interest in creating a crit in the village. There was one, and it was well attended. Unfortunately, on the corner right down there, they didn't have enough hay bales, and there was not a serious accident, but somebody went down. But anyway, what he would like to explore in either in conjunction with or in partnership with the Fair Oaks Board is maybe as a part of our grand opening of the park and the amphitheater to see what's available. And if it's not entirely in the village, maybe in the neighborhood. I mean, we closed down the neighborhood for the chicken run or the sun run, whatever you want to call it. But anyway, John, if you are willing to give us a little bit more insight about what your thoughts are, we would welcome them now.
Yeah, can you hear me okay?
We can.
Yeah.
Okay, I don't see myself, so I'll just pretend I'm a ghost or something. But yeah, anyway, yeah, I'm a John Marengo, longtime resident of Fair Oaks, longtime cyclist, advocate for cycling. And I've been racing my bike here. I started when I was a teenager, raced for a couple of years and got back into it in my 50s. I'm 60, going to be 66. They call it race age this year. And this year I'm on the USA Cycling. Well, it's the NCNCA. It's the Northern California Nevada Association Board of Directors for USA Cycling. We're the Northern California Nevada Associate. And so part of what, we do is promote bicycle racing. And, I couldn't help but thinking, and I mentioned it to a couple of we have a local Folsom team I'm on about, hey, how about a bike race in the village? It just seems like a perfect spot to promote the sport, to invigorate, we've had a little bit of trouble with with COVID and all, we sort of had a fall off on our numbers probably throughout the country in bike racing. But the village is just something that it just seems, it has the hills and everything. And I was interested to find out from John that there was a criterium here years ago. So at this point, it's just an idea. It's in its infancy. I wouldn't, I know there's a lot of hurdles to overcome, but I'm just wondering whether or not something like this is worth pursuing, because it would just be super cool, in my opinion, bring a lot of people to the village. Parking, we typically on a bike race, it would be kind of an all-day thing, starting with, the lesser races mid-morning, going up through the featured race, which is usually, 3:30 in the afternoon. and would probably last, that featured race would probably last an hour. Now, I don't know if you run through neighborhoods or through the resident, the commercial establishment, all that needs to be cleared in order for something like that to happen. But I'm just wondering what the response from this community, and I have a feel that this community, might support something like this. So that's kind of the vision. It's just a vision at this point in time. And I'm wondering if it's worth pursuing. The very earliest, it would be 2025, probably summer of 2025, when this might be able to happen, when all the construction in the village is complete. So that's the vision.
All the road issues.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's a great idea. I'm definitely thinking it could be great for the community, business. I think us involved in that would be a great thing for recreation.
I love it.
And did you say you were thinking of doing this in 2025, 2025 as part of the grand opening of everything?
Yeah, I looked at, we have a race calendar, and there's sort of a little bit of a lull in the race calendar in July. And so if all the construction were complete by July of 2025, a Saturday in July would be a great target. And it brings in a lot of people. Usually for a race like this, we get maybe 250 to 500 participants if it's a big race. So we'd have to look at off-site parking, which, I'm thinking someplace like the New Life Community Church on a Saturday. We could have the cyclists go park over there, and then just have all the registration and everything in the village there, kick it off at Village Park and loop it around in maybe a mile circuit. I think it would be a real popular bike race, and, just seems like a cool idea. So I wanted to see what y'all thought about it, and if it sounds like it's a good idea, where do we go from here?
Sounds like fun. I'd like to see you flesh out the circuit so you can see what kind of problems, what kind of street closures, other things like that might be necessary. Yeah.
I looked at a circuit the other day, and I'm thinking, okay, a shorter circuit's good for spectating. A longer circuit, not as good, but and I don't know what would be involved in getting the streets, around residences. Like what I thought was start at Village Park, go down Main, make a left on Grand, I guess it is, and down Central, and then back up Capitola, and then finish coming up Bridge Street back into the village, if you can envision that. Now, I'm completely open to whatever viable, but that was just my initial thought on what might be kind of a challenging. That circuit is 1 mile and has about 120 feet of vertical feet, which really adds a lot of, it adds some luster to the bike race, some appeal to, I think it'll bring out some people who want to challenge. Sounds like you guys, you like the idea, so I'm willing to put in the effort if it's at all viable.
Yeah.
I've been told, yeah, that would be really cool, but good luck with that. Go for it, but good luck with that. So anyway, I'm retired, and I've got the time, so it's just a matter of establishing all the right contacts and going from there.
Who on the board wants to work with John, primary contact?
Well, I'll continue to be the liaison, if that's okay with the rest of the board, John.
Okay, John, yeah, very good. Okay, well, let's, thank you very much, John.
Thank you.
See if any other board members have anything.
John, should we talk a little bit about what we've been doing with Desmond?
Yeah.
So Director O'Farrell and myself have met with Desmond and Liz Bellis and others on a couple different issues, but one thing you're going to notice is the roads are going to start reopening down in Sailor Bar. So the little, I don't want to say fire roads, but the road, they were open. I think they were closed probably around 2010. We also had the flagpole that was down there. That's a monument to the Eagle Scouts. That has been refurbished and cleaned up and painted. So that's another thing. But we've also had discussions about having activities down there. So they are open to even overnight
type activities in certain areas down there in Sailor Bar. I don't know if you guys have been around long enough. I know John has to remember Camp Sacramento, which was a big and successful camp that I participated in, probably in the late 70s, early 80s, I'm guessing, if I could remember correctly. But there was a
You were 15 and I was
40. But a ton of stuff, ton of nature walks. There's just so much programming that could be potentially good. And Liz has just been phenomenal to work with. Liz, if you don't know, is the head person of Sacramento Regional Parks. So yeah, so there's a lot of fun stuff where John and I and Rich and Liz and probably gonna loop Mike in and restart a little bit of a podcast where we, sort of talk about some of the things that are going on with the county and with Fair Oaks and things like that. But we'd love to have further discussions with staff regarding potential activities that we could, bring some nature walks and some educational type stuff, because Sailor Bar obviously has a lot of history and it's right in our backyard.
So I have notes that on the 25th of January, they're having a meeting about that.
Who's having a meeting?
Park meeting, Sailor Bar Road, 10361 Rockingham Drive, Suite 100, Sacramento.
Is that a county meeting?
My son turned me on to it. So if you've already decided, then this meeting seems like it's kind of moot.
Deciding what?
To open up the roads. I think this is kind of like the American River Association people.
Oh, right.
Asking for input about opening the roads. But it sounds like you've already decided they're open.
No, we haven't decided.
We haven't
They
decided, it's not our
the county
jurisdiction.
decided. We don't control any of the
Oh,
roads.
the county's already decided.
Yeah, from what I've been told, probably any day now.
We have designs on how to use it.
Darren, did they give you a time frame on when we could potentially program? Like summer?
I would say this summer.
Okay.
So,
But again, we would have to have some additional meetings with Liz and her team, but one of the areas we're talking about is, again, if you've been a longtime resident, you remember a place called the Green, which was down at the bottom of Olive Street to the right. Floods of '86 came through, wiped it all out, took it out. County didn't have the budget to bring it back. Gorgeous though. I mean, you go down there and we walked it multiple times with the county. I mean, there's water fountains still there. I mean,
Didn't we used to own that before the county
Yes.
took it for the parkway? Yeah, they traded us
we
for
own
Phoenix
all of
Park.
Sailor Bar.
Yeah, they traded us. for
one of the
Phoenix Park.
freaking most tragic transactions I could ever even imagine.
Right.
Phoenix Park
We
for
all
Sailor
agree.
Bar. Oh my gosh.
Well, after
But-
we gave the bluff to the county, they wanted to close it off, and we
Yeah.
had to fight for that. They wanted to fence it off. So it wouldn't be developed. The community bought it. They gave it to the county. We did the swing loan, our district did the swing loan back then.
Well, no, we partnered with the county to buy it.
The group, but in the end, when the say the Bluff people didn't have the money to pay off the property owners, we put up the money for a year, whatever, gave them a swing loan.
But back to your question about Sabrina and Nick about what areas might be open. They left us some material and I'll bring my, it's just a hard copy of it so you can see what it is exactly.
I would be very interested in how we lack nature areas to program in, to do outdoor activities. So, if it's an allowable space, we would love to look into it. See if it's
Very good.
suitable.
And James, you got anything? Linda?
No.
Okay, I have one thing, and I invited Mike to participate in this last week. September 2025 is going to be the 50th anniversary of the Historical Society, which was founded just prior to the bicentennial. It was initiated by our park district, who organized it in the first place. And I thought being involved in the Historical Society, and they're planning on this event, that wanted Mike to hear what they're planning so that we can coordinate, because this will be the year we open up the village, reopen the clubhouse and everything. They're planning something for September, and I guess kind of the vision would be to start at noon with a community picnic in what used to be called Village Park, the band shell, and then transition, that would be open to the community, bring your picnics and stuff, picnic things. And then that would be followed, I think, around 4 o'clock or 5 o'clock or something with a ticketed dinner in the clubhouse. And then after that, it would be open for the park district to whatever kind of rental or event they wanted to do. So just wanted to give you the heads up on that. I hope that we'll be inclined to cooperate with that. Can be one more of the hoopla for our year of reopening. Yes. Okay, with that, we need a motion to
let
adjourn.
the staff say anything.
Oh, I'm sorry. Keep doing this. We'll keep it pretty quick. Done this for 5 years.
Vivian has something.
All right, hello, my name is Ian,
Hello.
I am the admin assistant for the admin team. We, in the past couple of years, we started doing, or we started going over the numbers for just our live updates for our board meetings. And so we do have some stats that we just want to share with you guys. It'll be very brief. And you hit the next slide. So as you know, we do board meetings live on Facebook. And so we want to track the numbers that we're getting and make sure that people are, or see how many people are seeing them. So as you can see, there is a picture of you guys. It looks very similar, but not quite what you're wearing right now. So these are our monthly view counts of what for each board meeting. So you can tell January tends to be a little lower. May was actually re-uploaded, so we don't have numbers from that one. So that is the anomaly that you see there. Our biggest one was in August, and then following that was September. So we're up over, I believe, 300 views on those. And yeah, so just we're reaching a lot of people is what we're doing that aren't here physically here. They're watching it afterwards. That tends to be where we get the most numbers.
These were the live Zoom views then?
No, so these aren't, this was just monthly views overall.
Oh.
So these are the overall views per month. I don't have all the numbers in front of me for those, but like peak viewership during a meeting was anywhere from like 3 to like 12. So we're not getting a ton of people who are watching the videos in real time. But as you can see, enough people are at least watching a portion of the video over the months as we go. Let's see here. So the overall minutes viewed. So January was very low because it was probably one of the shorter meetings. The September meeting was super high, and just to kind of give you what that was the month we talked about the construction noise, just to give you an idea of why it was so high that day, or that month, I should say. So we're just the Facebook is we're getting people to view our videos overall is kind of the main point I'm trying to make. Is just it is important to do this so we can keep reaching out to the community in just different ways than we have in the past.
As far as the staff's concerned, we, aside from the board, we want to continue to do this for transparency indefinitely.
Yes, in fact, we are, and we haven't gone into it too much, but when we go back to Village Hall, we're going to have cameras permanently placed. It's going to take a lot less staff time to set up board meetings and such. So we're really looking forward to when we are able to get back in there. Overall views for the entire year, just over 1,500. Peak live views, and that includes all the months combined. So 64 people were watched at least a portion of it during the actual meeting. Reactions, which includes likes and things like that, 34 people have at least given us some kind of a thumbs up. None of them were negative. They're all either thumbs up, happy, smiling, stuff like that. So nothing really negative. And then overall minutes viewed, 2,300 minutes over the course of the year. So, we're good. Any questions?
It's respectful for government meetings.
These are people who have painted all
Do
the
you think the water board's doing the same thing?
Nick, did you have anything? And Jen? And the only thing I have, and I sent you a note, I just wanted to say it here in public as well. We have closed the parking lot on Park Avenue. It is our staging area and our material storage for the playground construction. The surface area is now compacted. They're going to do some testing on that before we can install. So we have to get our inspectors over there. But it is going along, and it is anticipated to take about 2 months. We'll open parts of it as we can, but it really doesn't impact the village too much. It does, I guess, to some extent, if people walk, if they want to park there and walk. But we haven't seen a lot of activity in that lot, except for some local residents that park there at times. So I don't think we're going to see any negative impact, but it is something I want you all to be aware of.
Mike, in the consent calendar, there were estimates of when substantial completion would be done on facilities, and some of those were months ahead of the December final completion.
Right.
Are we still looking at possible public use of those during that time?
It really depends on occupancy, if we're granted an occupancy permit. So that'll be the big question. That's why those 2 dates are there, substantial completion versus, acceptance.
And occupancy comes from the county.
It does come from the county.
Okay. Anything more from staff? Okay, with that, now I will entertain a motion for adjournment.
Move to adjourn to the next board meeting, whatever the date is.
February 2nd, 21st.
Third Wednesday.
It's moved and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
You're out of here.
All right. Good job, Raul.